Hello, Chris. How are you today?
Hi, yeah, I'm good. How are you, Harry?
I'm good, thank you. So, thank you for joining me today, Chris. So, I know that you've created a lot of fantastic children's books. Now, let's get started. Can you let me know about what inspired you to start to create these books?
Yeah, sure. So I've always been like keen on illustration when I was a young boy. Yeah, so from a young age, I've always enjoyed drawing. And I kind of lost that passion as I got older. And I started to suffer my own mental health problems, and that was around my early 20s. And they went away, and then came back again during COVID. So I sought out therapy, and yeah, we discussed a lot about kind of emotional suppression, and I figured out, well, the therapist helped me figure out that I didn't really know how to identify my own emotions, and as a result, I couldn't communicate them, and I couldn't identify what was making me feel a certain way, and it was all getting suppressed because I couldn't talk about it, and I feel ashamed of it. So coming out of those conversations, it got me thinking about Western culture and how in our schools they never really taught us about emotional awareness. And like when we looked at our parents and stuff, like I've been really lucky with, I've had really good parents, but just that culture of kind of they don't really discuss how they're feeling, and in work it's like just get on with it. Like you're not really allowed to be upset at work. If you
Yeah,
disagree with something, you have to hold that in and kind of just be, well, professional. So you get all this build up, and I think as a result that's caused this stigma against feeling a certain way. And you get that kind of that thought school of thought with positive thinking and stuff, and you have to be happy all the time, which is just not
yes.
feasible and not natural. So off the back of these therapy sessions, it kind of reignited my love for illustration again. I was like, I want to make a book that helps children like look at these pages and identify their own emotions. So each one's got a like a creature for happy or sad or anger, so positive and negative. And then on the other side of the page are practical examples of how you might feel when that emotion is occurring. Yeah, so like when you're excited, you might want to jump up and down, and also gives a like an example of when you might feel that, like you might be excited when a friend comes to visit you haven't seen in a while. So yeah, it's just
Yeah.
the inspiration behind it was trying to get rid of the stigma of mental health and get kids confident in their own emotions and able to communicate with their parents and teachers when they're just feeling
Yeah.
down, or even tell them what makes them feel happy to kind of try and tackle this mental health crisis we're in now, especially
Yeah.
with younger people.
I think that's really wonderful and really inspiring that you thought, okay, I'm going to take the onus on myself and use that as a creative outlet and something that can really help the children. So you sent us some of the books. Thank you so much for that. They're
Always.
brilliant. They're really fantastic. The children really enjoy it. Um, and at Avanti Fostering, we are big on education and connecting with our foster parents and our foster children and looking at ways that we can educate them and also make it interesting and fun. So this way, our foster parents can read the books to their foster children and they can have that connection. Um, Now, what would you say are some of the important messages or lessons from the books that the children can learn and even the adults as well?
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely kind of a collaborative approach to the parent and child reading the book together, where they can both get something from it. So from the child's perspective, I think the key message is not feeling ashamed of an emotion. Like I know when I was growing up, I might be told off by a teacher or another adult for like crying or being angry, and then you kind of feel wrong about that and a bit ashamed. But when you're young, you don't really kind of you haven't really formed those the proper triggers and stuff for different emotions. So like anything can set you off at that age. So I think it's important to let the kid understand that when they're upset or angry or feeling jealous, it's like that is a human emotion, and you shouldn't feel ashamed. And you can talk about it without judgment. I think that's another important thing is removing the judgment from the conversation, and that's where the parent side comes in, or whatever adult is reading it with the book, whether that's a teacher or social worker. And they can also learn to identify certain thought patterns in the child as well, and they can start forming these discussions about, yeah, does that make you feel that way when that happens? So when it does happen, they in that moment, it can be quite emotional for both sides. Like when a child's upset, it's sometimes hard for the parent, and they can be like, I don't know how to fix it. Hopefully, it gives a kind of starting point for the parent to go, oh, is this what's upsetting you? How can I
Yes.
help with that? So yeah, it's just that key message of removing the shame from emotional discussion, and hopefully, as when the children become adults, they'll avoid the difficulties that myself and many other people have, where we don't want to talk about our mental health, and then we start to get chronic problems that start to hold us back in life.
Yeah, and I think that the way that you've created it is really good because it's really colorful, it's really inviting, especially the characters. Where did you get inspiration from the characters, or did you just let things flow when you were creating them?
Yeah, kind of let them flow. I've always been a bit of an impatient. I mean, I wouldn't even call myself an artist because I see some art and I think that, wow, that's amazing. I could never do that. But I guess a drawer, an impatient drawer. Well, I never go in with a pencil and draft it.
Yeah.
I'll just get a pen and I'll just draw whatever's in my head. And I've always been told that I've had quite a creative imagination. Some people say like, "Oh, how did you kind of think of that in a conversation?" Just like ridiculous kind of random questions about stuff. So I guess I just let these characters flow, and then there was a couple I had to rework. Like the angry one looked too scary originally, but most of it embodied that emotion, which was quite cool. So yeah, I drew them all down in pen, and then I uploaded them to Adobe Illustrator and digitalized them because I've always been rubbish at coloring. So my mum always helped me with coloring when I was little. I'd always like go over the lines, and so fortunately in Illustrator you can just like do a few lines within the artwork and then set some options and it fills it in for you. So
That's brilliant.
um yeah, and then from my other books from them, I just started doing straight in Adobe Illustrator with the lines. But I'm doing a couple of collaborative books now. One of which is about grief with a lady called Michelle to help kids she works with in special needs education. And she's drawn these really nice characters based on kind of the book style, and I've just digitalized them. So it's cool to see like my creations kind of being used in other people's works, and that they think that those creations show those emotions, so they use that style as well.
That's fantastic. So I'm just showing everyone your website so they can visit that'sok.co.uk to find out
Yeah,
more about the different books here. So I
yeah,
think,
thank you. But
all right.
yeah, they all and then like, do you remember the Mr. Men and Little Miss books?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I really liked them as a kid of how like simplistic the designs were, where there's quite a bit of white space and you're just drawn to the characters. And because I didn't want this to be a storybook, it's more of a practical guide where there's repetition on each page, which for children with autism that helps a lot, because there's a kind of comfort to the book. So yeah, with the Mister Men, it was like I felt I can really remember those characters because it was kind of simple line drawings and it was really focused on that thanks to the white space. So there's not a lot of other distractions like a setting behind the characters. Yeah, so that's how it all came about. And then I've started creating books off the back of that as well. So I've taken the happy character and I made a rhyming book with that, which is more of a story book about helping people who are down with kindness to kind of bring them back up again.
I think it's really fantastic because being able to express your emotions, it's not a sign of weakness. And
Mm,
sometimes it can be portrayed that way, that if you are feeling sad, then that's a sign of weakness. But being
yeah,
able to reflect on that, to express your emotions and understand your emotions, is part of emotional intelligence. And today we focus so much on the other side of intelligence, or being
yeah,
academic, for example, or being successful in life. But having good mental health and understanding your emotions, I think it leads you to have a good quality of life. And especially for the foster children who are going into a new environment, being able to express their emotions and understand their emotions, I think it's really empowering.
yeah,
And the foster parents, they can make a deeper connection with the children. So I think that way it just makes their life, their everyday life, so much happier. Um, so they because they can express themselves.
yeah.
Now, lastly, I would say, what advice would you give to parents and educators who are trying to support children and their children's mental health?
Yeah, so I guess one bit of advice off the back of the book is try and hold space for a child when they're upset and I know that that isn't the easiest thing in the world. Like with my partner, she's got two daughters, and I know sometimes it is hard to kind of stay grounded in that situation. And but it is important that we do hold judgment back. As a human being, like naturally, we're going to have judgmental thoughts come into our head, but they're most of the time they're not really helpful. Like when we're upset, we don't want to hear what someone else is thinking of or what or trying to fix the situation. Like
Yes.
having it fixed is not what we need in that moment. We just want to be heard and listened to. So yeah, just hold space for a child and allow them to process their emotions, and then when they're happier or more content, then you can
Yeah.
kind of revisit it later on. But in that moment, just know that that they're safe and secure, and it's okay to express that. And yeah, if they do want any help at that moment, then let them know
Yeah.
you're there for
So
them. But also just be there. Don't leave them to be upset on their own. Show that you can be comfortable while they are upset.
yeah, you
Yeah, which
mentioned
is
a very interesting point about giving space so they can
mm,
talk through, they can work through any issues that they are having. And understanding that no emotion is bad. They're all there
yeah,
for a reason to help you to cope, maybe with things from the past, maybe things that are happening at the moment. So having that space to work through, and we're all different. As human beings, we
yeah,
all process things differently. So by giving them that space, and these books are a fantastic tool as well. So not only are they really entertaining, but they're also like a really useful educational tool to understand yourself better and in a fun way. So I think that's really brilliant.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I love making them, and yeah, when I get feedback like that and off the other reviews online, it's it always makes me feel like this is definitely an enjoyable thing, a therapeutic thing for me as well, for my own mental health, knowing that I'm putting something kind of back out there, which I felt impacted my life for years. And sometimes I still have, mental health issues resurface. And just seeing like the news about like mental health crisis getting worse for young people. I know it's not easy growing up in this modern world, and to know that I can potentially help some people with these resources is a yeah, it's a good thing.
Perfect. Well, it was lovely to meet you. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, bye bye.